So here we're connecting from the south of the world in this beautiful corner country with the view of the sea. We laugh because that's a phrase that describes very well how long and narrow our country is. Today, Amoris Laetitia summons us, gathers us, as we continue to discover Amoris and Laetitia. We especially want to go into the chapter towards a better education of children, chapter 7. And in trying to glimpse some aspects that we would like to highlight, which seem to us to be central together with all the richness contained in each of the points that the Pope deals with here, he deals with them so well. The title, The Joy of Love, has made us reflect all this time on the question, and how have our children experienced this? And for this, we would like to answer three questions and answer them together. Do our children know that they are loved? Do our children know how to love? Do our children know that they are loved by God? Let's go to the first one. Why do our children know they are loved? Well, I believe that fundamentally it is because they're children, and it is because they are part of, because they are what they are, and each one with their originality, each one with their world, each one with their richness, with their contributions and challenges and difficulties. As a gynecologist, I have often experienced that the mothers who love the most are the weakest, the youngest, the sickest. And because they are children, there is no other explanation, let's say. Little by little, we have been discovering that behind this, and the chapter touches on this very well, it is because we realize and value in an extraordinary way the dignity that each child has. Because each child is unique, and within them there is a message from God, and therein lies their dignity. And in that place where that message is written, read, and developed is the conscience, and therefore the child can be him or her, and that means that they're free. And in the context of what we're talking about, it is to be able to help them have that freedom to love. Today, this is a treasure that is worth gold, because the concept of dignity, the concept of freedom is absolutely contrasted with this. It is a freedom to do what I want, and it is a dignity of my rights, right? Well, this opens up a whole precious and valuable chapter that touches on the atmosphere of the family. Our children know that they are loved in many ways, and this climate, this atmosphere of the home also educates, marks, and touches. It touches the sensitive, it touches every fiber of the being. It manifests itself in 1,000 different ways, from small decorations, from small images in the house or large images, from home life, from cooking together, from our concern for one another. That human warmth that makes us feel part of this family and experience gratuitous love. There are three words that the Pope has put on the table here, and which illustrate very well the education of the atmosphere, and also have to do with the language, which are those simple words: permission, please, and thank you, which reflect the idea of putting oneself in the place of the other, of realizing that we are there either to ask something of them, or to thank them for something, or to invite them to be something. But we are doing this together. And in this doing it together is where this personal density is built, where the ethical formation or the moral formation of the person is to help them in their discernment. You know, I want to do it with the other. I don't want to do it alone. I want to do it for the other. I don't want to do it for myself. I believe that this exercise is something that we can consciously walk on day by day. And in our experience, that is where we discover how each one can act freely and vitally associate this freedom with responsibility for the other, for the one God has entrusted to me, has placed at my side. Let's say, this is how we build up the family, this unique personal nucleus of our own. If we can experience this through this love given to us, you know, just by the fact that we exist, that we are a gift from one to the other. Witnessing is by far the most important thing. In our school of formation in the church, we have learned that ideas clarify things, but testimonies carry us away. In this sense, if we can create these models of encounter, of participation, of co-responsibility in the home, it is worth gold. And there is a living daily example of what is most central, most important in life. Often this comes naturally. However, in the vast majority of cases, it has to be conquered, and conquering it means consciously reinforcing it. The Pope raises this point in the chapter, and many times it is also necessary to correct it. It is necessary to give it a boost. And above all, it is necessary to accompany, it is necessary to be present in the everyday, in the day-to-day life with each one, in each moment, to look for instances of encounter, to take advantage of the after dinner conversation, to take advantage of traveling together, to take advantage of the work shared in the house, to give these elements in a natural way. The service that can be done in the house and making it explicit is what in the long run can perhaps radiate the most to others. And if we become aware of it, if we take this up together, this is transformed into a mission in which we are there for others. We have to try to make this process clearer, to be clear about it, so that we can consciously give it to our children. Do our children know how to love? This is a very strong question. How do they express their love? From where can we discover? How can we discover that original, unique way of loving in each one of them? We would like to refer here above all to the paragraph or paragraphs under the heading Yes to Sex Education, because we are convinced that sexuality is the language of personal love. The experience of this way of loving in our spousal love is fundamental. We got married because we loved each other, because we wanted each other, because we desired each other, because we lived this fullness of what it is to love humanly. And we also wanted our marriage to be consecrated, to be a sacramental marriage, so that here in our experience, there is, the richness of the human and the divine, in that there is a human experience of warmth, closeness, intimacy, and which is a source of grace. God, manifested in himself in this way. So we could say that from our spousal vocation, from the call that God gave us to love one another, from the joy of knowing that we are loved and that we are loved and valued through one another, comes this longing to invite others to this feast of life and this goodness of love that makes us value the richness of life, closes the circle. And each of our children is then the fruit of this paternity and maternity as a vocation also of personal love. This core, this nucleus, is at the heart of why it is so important to reinstate sexuality as the language of personal love. And that today is a great challenge, because sexuality has been depersonalized. It has been reduced to the genitality. Well, if we have this treasure, let's put it on the table and let's make it explicit. Let's work on it and let's enchant our children with it. And for this reason, the chapter also touches on another tremendously urgent issue of our time, which is the identity of men and women. This popularity needs to be cultivated so that there really is reciprocity and complementarity. The richness of the human dimension lies in this harmonious integration of the masculine and the feminine sides. We believe that it is very important from this point of view to take seriously the fact that we can know the language of the body. We can know the language of our sexuality. We can know the language of each of our caresses in order to be able to dominate it, to be able to possess it in the sense that we know it and we get the best out of it. We use caresses in the right way. There are caresses that point to fraternal love, others that point to filial love, others that point to conjugal love, and each one has its own way of expressing itself in the same body, with the same hands, with the same eyes, the same lips. So this is what is meant by dominating, of knowing how to love the other in an attentive way, in an adequate way. This is urgent today. It is urgent, and it is very nice to be able to enter into this world with our children, little by little, to share with them how to be able to give oneself to another, how to welcome the other, to put oneself in the other's place, and also to be concerned about the other. How joy can be expressed in different ways is also an aspect that creates the atmosphere of a family and teaches us to love on different levels. This is a lifelong task, and our children's lives are also a lifelong task. When we speak about the sexuality as a language that has, on the one hand, the donation of oneself, self-giving, and on the other hand, the welcoming of the other in all their richness, that is personal love. And the meaning, the quality control, where it points to how it is expressed, how it is lived, is whether we have communion, whether there is harmony, whether we are in each other, with each other and for each other. And the first fruitfulness of this is the joy of being together, to desire to be together, the fact that there is a different air that we breathe in the house. We are discovering that the range of fruitfulness that love has is immense, and the fullness of this love, of course, is children, but it is not only the only one. And if the children arrive, and there is another range of ways of being fruitful love, they grow in this atmosphere that we were pointing out. So here, it is good to verbalize, to give a name and a surname to each of these expressions. So what we've seen is that if we take seriously what we each are as person in our bodily and spiritual senses, and we manage to integrate in our daily lives all these dimension of impulsive love, affective love, rational love, and ultimately volitional love of doing things that make others happy, we grow, and in a healthy way, and in a way that really convinces us all. So this is the school that we would like to give our children, and that they know how to love in this way from our homes. Do our children know that they're loved by God? To know that we are loved by God is perhaps the greatest gift we can have. And it is easier to feel it, not only to know it, but to feel it when we have experienced human love, the love of a father, of a mother, the love between siblings, between grandparents in the family. If we can love each other in this human way, how much will God love us? This is the question that comes and that comes up and really touches our soul. The experience, as we mentioned, of the family atmosphere, of the air we breathe, the experience of the extended family, the experience of an open home, which welcomes others, which cares for others, which goes out to reach out to others. All of this broadens our ways of loving. And we can also discover the face of God through people, people who touch our hearts and who help us change, to come out of ourselves. There is a person who, yes, key for us, for many families that we know, that we have accompanied over 40 years of marriage. This person is very special. Who is the main guest in our home? Well, the main guest, and the one in whom we have also placed the lives of our children in our hands, is Mary. Inviting Mary into our homes means having a special presence that brings us closer to her Son, that introduces us to Jesus, that allows us to grow as his disciples and his missionaries, and also that brings us closer to God the Father. She who knew him so well, who experienced his love with everything, is not only a mother, she's also an educator in our home. Mary is not mentioned in the chapter, however, she's present throughout Amoris Laetitia. And if we look at the final prayer with which the Pope wanted to end the text, addressed to the Holy Family, we can then see how she is a companion, and she helps us to transform our lives. This transformation becomes family experiences that do not remain within the four walls of the home. It go out into the community, into the ecclesial community, the civil community, the culture, to the whole reality in which each one of us moves, and each one of our children as well, so that the home is a forum open to many. It is a house to which many people come. Friends come over, colleagues, students, there is a participation of many in the house. Now, with the pandemic, we are restricted, of course, but normally there are many people passing through our house. And also, as a house, we go to other places as a home. In our case, it is the hospital, the university, the parish, the media. In other words, there is projection. There is access to other realities. The house is also has something to say in public life, in culture. From this experience of projection arises missionary awareness, and the whole family, and especially the children, discover this in the home and also feel the joy of giving this treasure to others. We have come to know the love that God has for us. What was the idea that God had for each one of us to accompany our children in this pathway, to discover their own mission, to discover that they are just like God has made them, with their talents, their fragilities, with all that we need to polish. That is a beautiful work, which can help us grow, all of us, because when we contemplate the marvels of God in others, in our children, we also learn a great deal. This is really a gift that goes beyond. It is not only about praying. I wish we could pray more in the family, to talk to God, to talk to the Lord, but also being able of talking about God in the family, about the God of life, in our daily life, in the light of what God wishes to tell us. So these are all experiences that mark our lives and make our lives rejoice. We would like to conclude with a quote from Pope Francis. We should all be able to say, we have come to know the love that God has for us. This is a quote from John. If we could grow little by little, and with all our limitations, with all that we ourselves lack as parents, but if this were the atmosphere, the world would be different. We have come to know the love that God has for us. May this be the legacy that we can give to our children and to all those that God puts in our path. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.